So more broadly, there are many ways, many applications for the mechanical focus of biomedical engineering. In general, people focusing on the mechanical side of things tend to design, build, and test different biotechnologies, implants, and medical devices. So one example of a medical device is in the bottom left here, a stretcher. And so anything that is seen as a mechanical device in the healthcare or medical field is called a medical device. And so these are examples of things that biomedical engineers help contribute to design, test, and build. The next example here is in joint replacements and implants. This is an example of the need of biomedical engineers to consult on, for example, the biocompatibility of all these joint replacements, as they are in the human body for years and years, and we need to make sure that they are safe to be put in human bodies. In the top right here, we see prosthetics, which is what many people think of when we say biomedical engineering. So things like here is a hand prosthetic, or leg prosthetics. And these focus on the mechanical design. Again, like the robot, they focus on modeling the human body. And more on the biotechnology side, that is not directly interacting with the human patient, but focuses on processing and diagnosing, is a genome sequencer. So I like to highlight this because this is the work that I am doing right now. So I work at Illumina, which builds these genome sequencers. And they sell to consumable companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com. So through biotechnologies like genome sequencers, you are able to sequence your entire DNA to then determine where ancestry came from and possible what diseases you are predisposed for. So there are many applications for a mechanical focus of biomedical engineering. Okay, next slide. So with things like the genome sequencers, in addition to needing mechanical support and design, they of course have other components like software and hardware in the electrical field. And so most all of the biotechnologies and medical devices that are on these slides and that we'll be highlighting has all of these specialties. So it will have, a chemical team, an electrical team, and a mechanical team. And generally, as a biomedical engineer, you would pick one of these to specialize in and then contribute to in your career. So here are a few examples of medical devices that focus on the electrical side of things. So on the left-hand side, we see an ECG, which is used to monitor brain waves. And in the middle, we see an MRI. So imaging is an excellent example of a biotechnology that focuses on the electrical side of things. And so almost all imaging techniques use these electrical specialties. And on the right here, we have a pulse oximeter, which assesses the amount of oxygen in your blood. And this is used in diagnosis and monitoring for many patients. And so these, again, are focusing on the electrical and more the software focus of biomedical engineering. Okay, next slide.
And then we have a little bit more of the chemical side, and the chemical side is very related to what you would think and the work you would do if you were a chemical engineer. But I think the main distinction you do when you're a biomedical engineer or biochemical engineer working on the chemical side is that you tend to use cells, organism, and biological molecules as the ways to do the processes and develop the products that you want to develop. And within chemical engineering, we have two main subfields, I would say, one of which is tissue engineering, and the other one is pharmaceutical engineering, which I'll be talking about in the next few slides. But in a broad sense, chemical engineering or biomedical engineering in the chemical sense is the development of processes and optimizing these processes, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do as an engineer, be the most efficient you can be with the processes and products that you have. So I'm going to be talking about tissue engineering, pharmaceutical engineering next. So for pharmaceutical engineering, this is very similar to what you would think somebody with a pharmaceutical degree would do, but it's much more related to the actual development and discovery of the products and how to develop processes and manufacturing processes as well on top of the discovery processes that will allow technicians to carry out these roles. So in this field, which is very large and has been seen a big shift for biomedical engineers going into this field, just because of the new techniques that have been developed. You want somebody that knows how the actual science work of the discovery of the drugs, but you also want somebody that knows how to make efficient manufacturing processes, which is where a biomedical engineer comes in and helps bridge the science with the engineering and the manufacturing. Then this leads to operations roles and managerial roles, which is something that we're going to be seeing with some of the roles we're going to be mentioning in career paths. Biomedical engineers tend to be hired a good amount for technical roles, but a good amount for managerial roles, because they are so broad and understand so much of the different specialties that they can have a good understanding to manage different teams with different specialties. And on the tissue engineering side, it's quite an exciting field, and it's very what you would think of a research focus and a science focus, but incorporates a lot of engineering concepts that previously a biologist wouldn't incorporate. So this is why biomedical engineers, I think, is the picture you paint in your head and tend to shine, where you apply these engineering concepts, qualitative concepts, quantitative concepts, my bad, and into biology to develop new materials and new methods to improve and replace biological tissue. So examples of these will be, so screen grafts. So for when somebody gets burned, biomedical engineers have designed these artificial skin grafts that are made from cells made in a lab and allow the patient to heal better. So the aim of tissue engineering at the end of the day is to aim to restore the mechanical and structural properties, which is where the engineering comes in, but with the focus of artificial organs and tissues. And then as the last specialty of biomedical engineering, we're going to talk a little bit about bioinformatics, which is probably the newest one. And by newest one, it's probably close to 5 to 10 years old as a biomedical discipline. And this has come from what Adriana was mentioning before, the genomic sequencing. So sequencing of the DNA allows us to gather a lot of information from patients and people, and use this information to do a lot of different things. So as a broad term, bioinformatics is the combination of mathematics, computer science, statistics, and biology. So a lot of what engineering is, but with a little more flavor of computer science. And what you do in this field is apply all of these engineering concepts and apply them to computer science, but with a focus on a lot of the data being biological. So this biological data can be a lot of different things. So the genetics, proteomics, which is the study of proteins, precision medicine, which is one of the biggest ones, and drug discovery. And for just as a quick example, precision medicine is when you gather this data from the patients and you can tell how different one patient is from another, but have the same disease, and how we can treat that patient with a specific drug or a specific treatment catered to the differences between that patient and another patient with the same disease. So this is a pretty new, exciting field, and is actually what I've decided to pursue for my graduate studies. But it's one of the more recent fields of biomedical engineering.